Hey everybody, it's Chris Lipper from On the Bus Sales Training Coaching Consulting, and we are going to talk about pitch decks today, or PDF presentations, and it's chapter 13 from the book. And we have a small class today. It's the height of summer, people are traveling, and there was a calendar issue. But so David and Jeannie, let me ask you a question. Do you guys use pitch decks ever? Do you know what a pitch deck is, or has one been presented to you?
I don't know.
Okay.
I've seen them, but I haven't done them.
All right. So they're the slideshows, right? It's when a sales guy comes into your office and they're showing you, 13 slides to get through their presentation kind of thing. But we also use them when we're trying to raise money many times and trying to get investors or trying to sell a franchise or things like that. And David, you have a company that is now franchisable, so you may be tempted to use these things. Jeannie, you have a portfolio of companies, so there could be times where they're attractive to you. So I'm going to play the chapter from the book, and so sit tight, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, here we go. It's a good one. It's short too. Is it plan? Can you see it? Okay.
Chapter 13, Pitch Deck. Owners from time to time may need to raise money, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it's for starting a business, buying a business, or for the growth of a business. Sometimes it's just to make it to the other side of things. It happens. I find that most entrepreneurs focus their presentation on their passion, product, vision, or service and totally forget about the deal, and most notably, what's in it for the investor, which is the important part to the investor. Remember, when selling, who's it about? Them, never you. This is selling. Make it about them. I recently had someone bring me a pitch deck to review. I think really they wanted money. It was pretty interesting and of interest to me because it was for a vegan restaurant. The company's name was the person's name, which I never love because how do you get out of it? Find someone else with the same last name to sell it to? The place looked great, as did the menu, but there were no prices on the menu, no clue to vendors, and no pitch in the pitch deck. No KPIs, no behavioral goals, no numbers. The biggest thing missing was the pitch. What's in it for the investor? And the entrepreneur's answer was typical equity, but no more than 50%. Why would the investor want equity in this? Might the revenue have been a better vehicle to offer? I've learned that if you want money, ask for advice. If you want advice, ask for money. Think about this in your own experience. The deal needs to make sense for you and your investor. Remember what you've learned in our negotiating class. Your offer is the high, and whoever wants it less wins. Please also consider giving up a percentage of revenue versus equity. As an investor, I'd rather get paid first versus last, as you do being an equity holder. Maybe consider offering 5% of revenue versus 49% of equity. Think about it or discuss it with me if you like. Please consider the DISC profile of who you are presenting to. D&C, right? What do they want to see? Facts, not fluff. So get to your offer, get to the pitch in the pitch deck. It's really a presentation tool for you to use as a way of presenting better, to pace yourself and keep your thoughts in order. It may just be a way to get to the next meeting where the negotiating is really done. Use your time well. Let's review. Who are sales about? Them. Who is the deal about? Them. Who cares about your passion? You. Who cares about the deal and what's in it for them? Them. Offer a deal. No one really cares about your passion. Sorry.
Okay, so pitch decks. Any questions, statements, thoughts on what we just heard? Yeah, David.
I have in my head what I want to present, but I'm not sure how to put it to paper or make it visualize it. I know it's good to have visuals, but I never really got much into that aspect of it.
See, I really think they're speaking notes. And it's really more for the presenter than it is for the audience. Right? It's okay to have a few, but what is it that you would use it for? What would you do with it?
Oh, I mean, I don't, the only reason I would do is have like a visual. Sometimes people like from just giving my verbal presentation. I want to make sure I keep their interest. So if I throw up a kind of visual or something to look at, that'll keep their interest while I'm talking to them.
Are you talking about selling a franchise or offering your services?
Probably more by services.
So you could list on there that you work with Mac and PCs. That way you remember to say that and they can see that. You could list on there that really no one's too small and your upside is pretty big. You could list on there the types of companies that you'd like to be introduced to. Right? So they start thinking that way. Jeannie, what do you think? How David could use it or not?
I think that I've been to many presentations where they use this, and I didn't realize it was called what you called it. I just thought it was a slide presentation, and sometimes it's very, very good, and sometimes it's not, and it depends on the audience that you're talking to. Sometimes an audience that you're talking to would rather have that person just connecting with them. And sometimes they just want to see what the deal is and then just, make their own decision from there. And they don't want that person connecting with them really as much as they want the fact. So you have to know who you're presenting to realize if a slideshow would be best. I don't use slideshows. I've used them in the past. And I found that I'm more effective when I don't. Because then I'm paying attention to the slide and not the people, because I don't want to mess up the slide.
Same.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So
Many years ago, I had a meeting with a prospective client. I had a sales rep at the time. My coach at the time encouraged me to put together a PowerPoint, which I did. I was extremely uncomfortable presenting it. I felt it was almost counterproductive. I would be better off just talking with them than just going through the presentation.
You guys have both sat through my talk on networking versus not working, the do's and don'ts of networking. So I've given that many, many times, and there's a slideshow deck that goes with it, but it's so distracting to me. And yeah, there's fun pictures and all of that, but yeah, I think you're right, Jeannie, that I lose the connection with the audience because I'm distracted and I'm looking at the slides versus them. I'll tell you,
and especially on Zoom. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So especially on Zoom, where the connection is challenging already because everyone's multitasking, and I don't care who you are, you're doing something else while you're on that Zoom. Whether you're paying attention to something else in the room, or you're watching your phone,
driving
or you're looking
around
at another
the block.
Yeah. So you got something going, driving around the block. So you're doing something that you don't have your full attention, and if you don't grab an attraction, if I'm sitting there and I'm going, Chris, what do you think? I'm going, I'm bringing you back in, right? Or David, did you hear what I said? Was that a good idea? Tell me about it. What do you think? Give me an idea. So that drags him back in. No matter what he's doing, he immediately stops doing it and starts paying attention to what I'm talking about again. But if I'm doing a slide and I'm just talking over what's being said over there, I'm not going to think about bringing you in.
Yep.
I'm going to think about finishing up the slide.
Yeah, and the other thing, sitting in the audience, I wish people would number their slides. 1 of 10, 2 of 10, 3 of 10 kind of thing. So I know how long they're holding me hostage. And I find that a lot of salespeople insist on going through every slide. If you're getting buy signals, stop selling. You don't have to go through every card in the deck kind of thing. But I don't know. I get nervous when people pull out their laptops and want to show me some kind of presentation.
You know, but then you have the people that if they don't have the slides, they forget half of what they wanted to talk about. Like they don't have that mindset to just go through a slide in their brain, and they need the slides.
So that's the point of the chapter. Who's it about? It's really about the presenter. It's keeping the presenter on track. Right? So that's the point that I'm trying to make. But we could also have our own notes. Right? But, you know, if we're on a roll, we may not look at those either. So I try to, if if we're in a dialogue, let's say it's a meeting or whatever it is, and we're taking turns in speaking, I might think of 4 things and I'll look at my hand and one's on each finger, you know, and so I know I've got 4 points to make. And that's a way of remembering it. Or now I've got this iPad and a notepad next to me all the time. I can just jot them down. But because I'm concerned about the sound and turning my head and the sound changing when I turn my head, I don't look as much. So it's just the 4 points. I can look at my fingers. Right? So that's a way. The other thing that with having a pitch deck and having slides is if you're going to show them, they've got to be done well. It might mean hiring an artist sometimes, right? And copywriting the material and things like that. So it just may be too much work. You guys have to decide.
Exactly. Because that's one of the reasons I haven't put one together is that I'm not the expert at PowerPoint or anything similar to that. If I want to do something really nice, I really need to get someone else involved in it.
Some people are great at it. You guys both know Amanda. She makes wonderful PowerPoint presentations, you know, but even the great ones can be distracting because then you're looking at the beautiful artwork or whatever it is versus hearing what's said. Again, for me, I'm not a fan. And I really think it's more about the presenter than the person being presented to. Okay, so just think about that. And maybe having index cards or cheat sheets or just bullet points of references that you want to address is a better way to go. Okay. All right, so a quick, easy class, but that's it. And I thought worth mentioning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool.